So now we're going to do our bow, and we are going to fold this right sides together. And we're going to pin it along the edge and on the ends. Now I've put 2 pins where the dots are. We're going to sew it on this side and then from this dot on this side and leave this open between the dots. Now we'll do the other side. And down to the dot. So now we're going to clip the corner and this corner. And we're going to trim one of these seams down about halfway. We're not going to trim the opening though. We're going to kind of angle that up. And now we're going to turn it and iron it. Now for our bow, we're going to turn this right side out through the opening that you made. And we're going to use just gently turning it. We're going to poke the little corners out. And we're going to repeat that for the other side. Okay. Try to keep these seams open, give them a little press with your fingers. Flatten them out. And then we're going to iron this. Fold these opening up a 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to iron this all nice and flat. And we're going to slip stitch this opening closed. Just little tiny stitches. About a 1/4 of an inch apart. And you're going to finish up the opening, and then you're going to re-iron it nice and flat. So now we're going to fold the bow on the center line. And I'm going to pin it where the stitch line is. And we're going to stitch it right on this stitch line. And now we're going to take it back over to the ironing board. So now we're going to take our bow and we're going to fold on the fold lines and we're going to press that in just to kind of hold it there. And then the center line should match up with where you've stitched it. And we're going to open those up. And we're going to press this whole thing. So now we're going to hand stitch just a real wide stitch just to kind of tack this in place so it doesn't move. Just a little running stitch. So now we're going to take and we're going to fold all these layers up and make that pleat, bringing the dotted line to the solid line. And we're going to hand stitch this down. Just to hold it in place. So on the knot, we're going to take and we're going to fold this on the dotted line and make a pleat and bring it to the solid line. We're going to pin this on both sides. And then we're going to stitch over that to hold it in place. And I'm going to stitch over the other side. And we're going to take it to the ironing board. So on our knot, we're going to fold up 1/4 of an inch on one of the notched edge. We're going to iron that in. And this is the one that's actually closest to the pleat. Then we're going to fold the other side down. And we're going to match to where the other side is folded. And now we're going to snip off the notches. And this bottom one is going to get turned up right where they touch over the top one. Okay, and now we're going to stitch this. We're going to slip stitch that closed. So now we're going to slip stitch this to hold this. So now we're going to take our bow, and with the pleat of the knot on the top, we're going to wrap this around the bow to the other side. You're going to turn under a 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to pin this. And we're going to hand stitch that closed. And then we have our bow. Okay, so this is our bow, and we're going to sew the bow on to the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew the edge of the bow knot to the seam line right here on the right side here. We're going to hand stitch this on right here. Little tiny stitches, so make sure it stays on good. So now we're actually going to put a snap on the other side and snap it so it goes over the zipper. So now we're going to sew the snap on, and I've got half of my snap. I'm going to sew it right in the middle, right at the edge there. So we have half our snap. So now we're going to sew on the other side of the snap. We're tying it off in the back. And now the bow will snap over the zipper, just like that. Okay, to start our belt, we're going to take our piece of heat and bond, and we're going to put it right in the middle of the belt, inside the seam lines. Now remember, the seam lines on this belt are 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to iron this right down to the middle. So now on the belt, we're going to mark our 1/8 inch seam lines on the edges So we are actually going to stitch a guideline stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge so we know where we're going to fold it. And we're going to repeat that for the other side. So now we're going to take our belt and we are going to turn up that 1/8 of an inch where we stitched that as a guide, and we're going to iron that in. Now we haven't taken the paper off the back of the heat and bond yet, otherwise we'd have a sticky mess. And you're going to continue all the way to the end and the other side. So now on the belt, we've got the sides ironed down. We're going to take the paper off of the heat and bond. And we're going to turn the tops right side together. We're going to fold them back. And that's going to meet in the middle. And we're going to pin them. And what we're going to do is stitch this point across the top of this. So now we're going to trim this seam a little bit. Cut the one side off about halfway. We're going to clip the corners and across the top, and we're going to turn that right side out and iron it when we iron the rest of the belt. Now we're going to do the same thing to the bottom. You're going to fold these right sides together and stitch across the bottom, the straight seam. trim this seam. Clip the corners. And trim the seam. So now we're going to turn this end right side out, and we're going to poke that a little bit with our turner here. That's going to come up into a point. Okay. And we're going to fold these two ends in till they meet in the middle. And then we're going to iron the point. And that heat and bond in the middle is going to hold that together. And then we're going to turn the other side. This is the flat side. And those fold in the sides. Iron the end. So now that our ends are ironed down, we're going to take a needle and thread, and before we iron this down, we're going to slip stitch the two ends, fold it over together. Just going to kind of sew this up by hand. We're going to go from side to side right at the where we've got it hemmed, because we want both of these edges to be together. And that'll pull the edges together in the middle there. And we're going to continue that all the way down. So now we have the belt edges hand stitched together. We're going to iron this nice and flat. And that heat and bond's going to hold everything together. Iron the other side. And there's our belt. So this is the belt buckle we're using, and we're going to put the belt through. This is the flat end of the belt, through the belt buckle and back through. This is a slide belt buckle, and we're going to stitch this down right along here. And our belt buckle is sewn on. And so this belt will go around the doll and just hook. Like that. So now we're going to do our hem, and we're going to start by turning up 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to stitch it right on this fold line right here. We're going to use a long stitch like we did for the gathering, and we want to make sure that when you come to your seams that they're going the right direction when you turn up that 1/4 of an inch. And you're going to sew right on that fold line, just a little bit away from the edge. And you're going to continue that all the way around the skirt. So now we're going to put our hem in, and our hem is 1/2 an inch. And we're going to measure the 1/2 inch, and we will pin it. And you're going to work from seam to seam. So you're going to line up each seam at 1/2 an inch. Make sure the seams are even with each other. And because this is a circle, this sticks out. So what we're going to do is you're going to take a pin, and you're going to take a hold of that stitching that you put in there, and you're just going to pull on it slightly just to give it a little bit of gather on either side here. And we're going to even those out just a little bit here to where it's 1/2 an inch all the way around. And it lays flat. And then you're going to iron this. You're going to do that all the way around, and you're going to iron it. And then we're going to hand stitch this down. So now we've got the hem all pinned in and ironed. We're going to hand sew this. We're going to use what's called a catch stitch. And you're going to take a stitch in the hem down about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. And we're working left to right, but the stitching is going to be from right to left. And then you're going to come up about 1/4 of an inch away and take a tiny stitch in the skirt. And this is only going to be a couple of threads because you don't want it to show on the outside. And then come down about another 1/2 an inch over, or 1/4 of an inch over, and take another stitch. And you're just going to continue working that all the way around.